Okay, this is my third time starting. Like, and that just goes to show you, like, that is the third time in like 4 minutes or something. Time is so motherfucking weird. Like, oh my God. There's some weird shit with that. Um, I don't even know. Like, just everything is so completely off. There's nothing in alignment in our lives, like, and so, yeah, if you're feeling like time is so motherfucking off, God, it's weird. Um, in the way that it feels, how long it takes, when it just is off. I don't know how to explain it. It's just really weird. So weird how much stuff you can do, and then you go and look and it's been 20 seconds. What? So anyways, yeah, I've tried to start like 3 times this morning, and so it was so I'm just gonna start back where so now it's 3:50, and it was a rough night. It's fucking God, these nights are getting rougher, man. And the dogs woke me up, and I looked at my phone. It was 3:09. Here comes the lady. It was 3:09, so, and now it's 3:45. So I've been up that long. I've drank 2 cups of tea, given the dogs treats, let them out, and all that stuff. I sat down when the dogs were outside and started to look at TikTok to see like what was going on, because it's just constantly been about the flood and then about a couple of other things that I'd said. But now, oh my God, I've only seen a couple of videos this morning. It's too motherfucking devastating. Like, the stuff that so the this is just a little spot too. Like, I don't know, when I look, I don't know, maybe it is like the same as like the California coastline over here, but it seems like the whole West Coast is going to be affected. Like this is a pre-warning shot. Like, this is, pay attention, because this is shit is about to go down over here where we are. And I'm seeing the same things as what I said that I know is going to go down over here. And then watching it play out is like, fuck, dude. Fuck, dude. So the, so there, I had a couple of things I want to talk about. Like everything is just like, it's super, I don't know, super intense, man. I don't know, I'm gonna be feeling like, I don't know, I feel weird, but also I am in like extreme pain. Like, I cannot fucking believe that that is happening to my body, and I say is poison. Like, you know, because when they sit there and say, oh, ascension symptoms and all this stuff, or just the what you call it, the Schumann resonance and stuff, it's like, yeah, that stuff is going to bother you when you are not healed. That stuff's going to get your attention. It's going to knock you down. It's going to, you know, you're going to feel sick. You're going to have all these issues. This is, I feel so certain it's like some poison. It's something, it's like the last hit over here or something. There's something. And these people, there's all this talk about this weird smell, especially like around Seattle. And I've smelled so many weird smells, like I've talked about it before. But so now you've got all these people talking about it, and they're like, well, we've been looking, it's not the volcano. It's definitely, I don't even know what they were saying, because I still am like, I didn't listen to the whole thing. When she was like, it's not the volcano, I was like, I've heard that there's 2 chambers full on Mount Rainier, and that the scientists are watching, like, I don't know what these people are looking at. Like, there's so many of these people who watch the storms, watch the earthquake, watch the activity, watch the Schumann, watch this, the stars. Like, there's so many people, you know, that are just as intense as I am about what I'm intense about. They're intense about their things. When you catch on to their little things, you go in and you get all their information. And then you can watch and see, you know, how things play out, and then see like how accurate their information is. Like, there's so many people out there that are predicting what's going to happen, and there can be some people who are right on, but I just can't listen to them all, because that's what it is, and it is like a stressful kind of like craziness. I mean, I think that we all know there's going to be something's going to go down over here, and it's very likely that it's earthquake, volcanoes, and the tsunami, because the map and the water rise. And I don't know, I'd be curious too to see like what is like there. Oh, God, that was that one guy that I had seen was already talking about. Oh, let me think what he was saying, because the weird thing is that in 1958, they had a hurricane with the exact same name. It devastated the exact same place. Like, there's a bunch of weird shit. And so that video I saw a couple weeks ago, and I talked about it. And the guy said, now I don't remember, was it like the 1700s, it wasn't the 1900s, I don't think. If it was like 1910. But I know that there was some weird a storm thing, some weird tsunami, something happened at this one place, because I saw that video 6 months ago or something. And I talked about it. I know I talked about it because I was talking about the energy and, all these battles where they killed a lot of Indians and stuff like that. That place was devastated. Water came in and rose, and so all of that area was gone. It was now water. And then in this other video, I saw this other lady, and she was talking about this. I think it was a guy. That one, I think, was a lady. So this guy was talking about this situation that happened on the West Coast, like in I think it's over here by Vancouver, down by me, by this peninsula. It seems like where he was saying, but there was something that happened, a tsunami or something happened, and it wiped out this whole place and changed it or something. I don't remember the video now, but there is something to this repeating. There's something going on with this repeating cycle thing. So, I don't know. I'd have to watch those again. But that really, when I saw all these people sharing this Wikipedia about Hurricane Helene, and then there's all sorts of other weird shit. Like, there's so much weird stuff. And then there's 2 more coming. It's like 2 more hurricanes or something this week. Like, we didn't kill you the first one, we're going to get you now. I was like, fuck. I think that the third one is supposed to really be worse or something. I don't know, because there's so many people who are recognizing, like, the HAARP, the interference, the creation, the making storms way worse than they need to be, using, fuck, I swear to God, they use wind machines, like, anything they can do. There's weird shit out there. And I've seen more weird shit. What was that one? I don't even think I can remember it. This morning I turned on, the waves were on, and I clicked over, and there was a movie sitting there. There's always a movie sitting there. And, the first one was already one I had seen before. It was a little black and white movie, but I put it on first because they're just, I don't know. There's a mellowness to those movies. And then, all of a sudden I hear all these ones, because they're just some stupid drama, and they always make women be so fucking weak. It just is like the programming and shit in our fucking reality. But it makes you see, like, well, no wonder people are like that. No wonder people do that. No wonder, because it's fucking programmed. So the other movie next to it is this movie. So Rock Hudson is in it, but he is older now. And so the movie's 1976, and it's called Embryo. I've never heard of this fucking movie. And like, the movies that come to me is just like, and it always has information that my guides want me to see or recognize or something. But and it's a really funky looking cover thing. And so I'm using my mind, Embryo, 1976. And I was just like, Embryo, what the fuck? So I click on it I think, but anyways, but as soon as it starts saying that this movie is, how'd they word it? They said it's not real. It's based on science. And right now we have the technology that we can grow babies outside of the womb. And we want to see where this can go, where tomorrow or maybe today, like something like that, they're letting us know, like, This is 1976, and people are just like, what? Do you think there's clones? You think there's this? You think there's that? They're fucking making people. Like, what do you think they wanted your fucking DNA for? Why do you think we all these people look alike? Like, it's fucking something weird going on. And it's so weird. Like, these people keep pulling up, like, they'll pull up these actors and pull up these other people. Oh, look at that. Look at the same. They're the same people. It's like, you guys, all you're doing is confirming that there's some fucking weird shit going on with the goddamn fucking, this lab world. This lab that we're being baked in. So, but at least it's got people's attention and they're paying attention, but they always just go into their fear. I mean, it's just crazy how Hollywood is like a giant monster to some of these people. And I would think it's because you were so consumed with it. You were so consumed by the glitz and the glamour and the, I wish I was that. I wish I was that. I wish I had that. And I think I went through that phase in, it was Friends. I swear to God, that was Friends. And it happened to so many people. It was like they put these people out there living this life that we were all like, fuck, I want that life. Fuck, man. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to do that. And it was so fucking fake. Like, once people started, because it sucked us all in. We all were sucked in, like, and it became this big craze. And everybody loved Friends. And everybody wanted to be friends. And we're all going and getting our hair cut and buying our clothes and everything. And then now, though, you have people who have started pointing out some different things. And it's like, none of these people worked. They're always just hanging out at the coffee shop, hanging out at the thing. It's just nonstop, just a social hour, which that is what we all want. That's what we're going towards. That's the life that we're going towards, where we have all these people. It's just nonstop. Like, I'm looking for a job. I'm trying to get a job. It's just like, people are consumed with, I gotta work. I gotta get some money. It's like, you gotta step out of that. Like, it's like stepping into a portal. It's stepping into a reality. This chasing, I gotta get there. I need more. I need that. They got it. I want it. It's like, you gotta fucking... It's such a slowed down, like, fuck, dude, I can fucking sleep in a hammock on the beach, man. My dogs lay right there by me. I don't need all that shit. I can find peace. I can fucking fish if I'm really, I don't know how to explain this, because at this point in time in humanity, it's a very toxic theory about, not eating. A girl on TikTok now who was, and she probably was very toxic in her delivery. And her thing is probably just about being skinny. Be skinny. And don't eat. Starve yourself. Look how skinny I am. Be skinnier. And somebody made a marionette doll of Eugenia. It looks so much like her. It's so creepy. And now they're saying she died. But I swear to God, I've heard she died a couple of different times. Like, people are putting out so much misinformation, you won't believe it. Like, they're just popping up, this person's dead, this person, it's mental. And there's so many more people, like how I said the other day, now there's all these other people. Yesterday morning when I went on TikTok, I was all these people talking about these weird flood videos, these people staying in all these weird videos. And it was very weird. Like, there was some really, really weird videos. And there's people who are then, all of a sudden, they're gone. And I swear to God, there is some kind of moon landing shit going on with some of these videos. Like, I don't know about some of this shit. But there is definitely... Okay. Like on Asheville. Let's just say just Asheville, North Carolina. Because there's just so many of these different places. Like, people are saying the whole coastline is gone. It's just gone. Like, roads are washed away. People are trapped in places where there's no roads to get out. They don't even know how they're going to get out of these places. Places are washed out. Roads are gone. Bridges are gone. Houses are gone. Cars are gone. People can't get in contact. Lines are down everywhere. Some water is electrified. Some water you can swim in, I guess. Some water has alligators. It's tons of people missing. Like, when they start saying You know, like they did all this evacuation, and I don't know, I like, there's been all these different storms, so, you know, I don't live there, I don't know, you know, I'm not gonna sit there and say, those stupid asses, they should have just, I'm not turning it on them, like, fuck, there's so many people who are like, you know, you have to ride out tornadoes, you have to ride out earthquakes, like, when you're in an area where that stuff is, it's like, you know, it's just like you get them all the time. But now, and a lot of people don't understand what's happening on the planet, they don't, and it's because they're leaving. It's like they don't need to understand. So it's no shame on them. Like, oh, well, if they just would have known, they would have lived. It's like, no, they weren't supposed to. This is like, you have to see, this is how things are supposed to play out. You know, we're in the playing it out. Everything is going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. We can't stop it. That's the part of you that you have to work on. We stand and we can cry, we can shout, we can stomp. That's this coming to Jesus moment. This is the drop to your knees and give it over to God. That's the let go, let God, dude. So you got to just be like, you know, I mean, it's hard. I was so excited when my daughter, she got there and she got back. She said she was there and it did start flooding. And she said there was a flash flood and she did kind of panic for a minute, but then it went and she got her daughter and they got on the plane and they are home. So they're home. Now we just got this disaster, the West Coast disaster, but we're all over on the same coastline at least. So, because I'm seeing so many people, they can't get a hold of their people. It's gonna make me cry. It's like, because this stuff is really happening. Like, this is really, these people's come to Jesus moment. Hold on. Because these people's awakening. Like, they weren't supposed to know. That's what you got to keep remembering. Like, it's your judgment if you think like, well, they should have done this and they should have done that and all that stuff, you know. So this is, you know, this is some people's huge loss. This is some people, like, I've seen men bawling their heads off because they've lost everything. Their house is gone. They evacuated, and now the footage shows that their whole place is wiped out. There's nothing there. And there's like, I don't have a home to go back to. So there's everything is going to happen. You got to remember, everything's going to happen. We are all possibilities. That's what we are. Think of those souls as like, they take all these souls, throw them in, and we go scatter all possibilities. Yeah, it's a little more coordinated than that because we're all just like, we come and interact with each other just at the right moment every time. So, but that is what we are. We're all possibilities. So this, nobody's supposed to be like, well, you got to do it the way I would do it. That's your issue. That's an entanglement, by the way. Like, this person is allowing this because they're trying to give something over. Like, I don't want all the responsibility. If you've ever been with people like that, it's like, oh, they just can't wait. Well, it's your fault. Well, we did it because you said, now look at where we're at. It's your fault. You caused this. I've listened to that shit for fucking years. There was years of my life I listened to that shit. It beats you down, man. That's the kind of stuff that you get suicidal over. Like, somebody just constantly. That's why I keep saying it's so important for us to build each other up. And when you feel like you've got to lash out at people, you got to fucking go internal. You got to fucking see, like, I've got issues, man. I've got to constantly be blaming others. I need other people to make my decision so that I can blame it on them. And so anyways, there's an entanglement. So both people are playing a role. Like I keep saying, there's people playing roles. And you got to pull. Like, that's where they talk about this cutting your cords. You know, when they say that stuff, think about that as pulling your power back to self. Like, I'm not going to let this person control my emotions, and I'm not going to try and control theirs. That person nor that person. I'm going to go in. What do I think? What do I feel? How do I feel about this? And in that theory, you have to be able to say, you'll figure it out. Oh, I'm sure you can figure that out. You can do it. Try what you want to try. Do what you want to do. Yeah, let me know how it works out. You know, there's a change in your dialogue. There's a change in your narrative. There's a change, and you'll find peace. You know, it's going to be very stressful. I was just talking about this too with my daughter, because I can recognize this because I was very much like this. And there's so many people. It's crazy because I can talk so much about dysfunctional growing up. But the audience, although right now, you know, but we know how large this audience really is that that just shows like how many of us we're all broken. We've all been through things that hurt us and damaged us. And that's the way it's meant to be. See, that's the thing. It's meant to be that way. You're meant to go into the hole and find your way out. You're meant to have the things happen so that you can show yourself the possibilities of how you can maneuver and create. It's like creating your happy space. It's just like what that saying, taking lemons and making lemonade. And so that, all of that stuff, like, okay, I feel like I'm in a tornado uh, of I don't know, information or looking at like all this is just like, it is like stormy. It's like everything is micro, macro. The energy is very intense. It is very stormy. And it still is super fast. And like I said, the pain inside my body is so motherfucking weird. It is, it's like weird pains I haven't even had before. And I'm putting tons of magnesium because that is, if you have a deficit. And when I saw a thing yesterday, because it popped up for me because of having this issue. And then, so it said with the muscle cramps and stuff, which I wouldn't just say it's muscle cramps, but I am having muscle cramps, is potassium and magnesium. So those two will cause you to have the muscle cramps and stuff. And potassium, when you mess with that, you got to be really careful. That would be K. But there's a whole thing about them saying K is artificial, for one thing. And so potassium, so it's always best to get your stuff through the food. You know, I think that the ones that give us the most is the ones that they've interfered with the most. And so, I don't know, it seems like a little bit like go into some odd ones. Some ones that are just kind of like weird. Like if they give you like 6 different ones, it's like, oh, you know, I'll just go get a bunch of, one that I just saw is dates. So if you eat dates, it's like 6 dates or something a day. It gives you all your iron you need or something. So dates are high in iron. But see, stuff like that. And if they've messed with it, but still it's kind of an odd one, you know, like they've messed with the potatoes. They've messed with the bananas. They've messed with the tomatoes. Tomatoes would be potassium. But see, they've messed with this so much, I don't know how much potassium you would really get. So that's where I'm saying you gotta look for your stuff and find it, and and figure out the things that your body needs. And it's a constant. Like, and you see all these people who aren't doing it, but that is, I keep taking these deep breaths still. That is this this thing what I was talking about though is it's not so much as like, oh well, they need to wake up and stuff. It's like they're showing us. It's like they're the show. And when we can get into observation and not judgment and not control, like I gotta control it all. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about, me when I was younger and feeling like I had to control it all. And I never realized I was controlling. I didn't realize it until I was in that the second marriage is where it really hit me. And he would tell me, and this is one thing I wanted to really talk about too, this was something that was eating at me during the middle of the night, was the, I know you better than you know yourself. That was just like, okay, I'm talking about that today. It was just going and going, and it was like, it was so fucking toxic. And it goes right with the stuff I'm saying, so I'll link it in there somewhere. But for this second though, him saying, he would say I was controlling. You know, I'd be like, controlling? Fuck, I can't even fucking say anything without you losing your goddamn mind. You start slamming everything like I better not even fucking have an opinion about something. Unless it's your opinion. And then, and I'm not like that. I'm like, if you know me, and so hopefully some of you do know me at this point by listening to me, is I'm gonna go with how I feel about something. I'm not going to just be like, oh, well, they say it's this way, so I'm going to say what they say. No, I have to go with what is internally inside of me. I can't fight against myself. You know, it's like, you know, my mom wanted me to believe in religion. Like, you don't even know the pressure with fucking Jesus. And how, I mean, my mom is like a drop to your knees crying, like, all my kids are going to hell kind of situation, you know? So it is, there was pressure on me to conform. And I wouldn't even conform verbally. I wouldn't even pretend. So I have to be true to myself. And it's just something that, you know, I mean, some people, somehow inside of them, but it's the role. It's what they're here to learn from. You know, I wasn't here to learn that stuff. My lessons have been different. My guides have made sure that I understand my lessons as I go. But yeah, those haven't been my lessons. So I would say, yeah, it's better to get to that point that you go with how you feel about something. No matter what, no matter if somebody's going to fucking punch your face out. And, you know, it's like, I'm going to be me. And get real depressed because I'm rejected. But the thing is how the other person, even the person who's playing the narcissistic role, that they have feelings and theirs are so triggered and they can't manage them. And then, you know, theirs has come out of control. They can't manage them. They manipulate a lot to get what they want. Like, there's a whole thing. Like, it's patterns. Like, you can see, it's not just like, oh, this one family. It's kind of becoming absurd at this point of people like talking about, oh, well, I was married to a narcissist, poor me. It's like, fuck, everybody was either one world or the other. We were all fucking doing the same shit. That's what was playing out. So get over it and fucking start working on yourself. And so in this, though, I can see how the narcissist also feels abused. That's what triggers them into this possessiveness, controlling. And it's so to the point that they are so controlling that any fucking step you take, they feel you're trying to control me. But it really, at the point, got me to reevaluate my control and trying to understand, you know, am I controlling? What am I, you know, and what I had found was that oftentimes when you have grown up in a situation where everything was out of control, everything was crazy, frenzy, that you will develop things of like trying to control things and masterly, like, I'll handle this, I'll get that taken care of, because you're so worried everything's going to fall apart. So you start taking it on, but then you become resentful, especially if you have a partner. You become resentful of your partner. You're not pulling your goddamn weight. Get in here and do some shit, because you are the master. You are the fucking conductor. This is going this way. And then and they can't, you got the show now, man. And where do they step in, you know? Do I come into the horns or the strings? What do I do? What do I do? And at a certain point, your partner becomes very frustrated. It's like, oh, I thought I was supposed to come in there. And it's like, no, I told you I want it done over there. And it becomes this battleground over control. But there's parts being played. And in the one situation when I was talking to somebody about it, I was like, you just have to work on your thing. And you got to just start recognizing that this other person needs the power to come in and show themselves. They need power to come in and, you know, like, you are repressing them by trying to make everything be this certain way so that you feel like, okay, everything's going to be okay. Nothing's going to collapse today. We're going to get through the day. I'm holding it all together. It's a lot of pressure, and people take it on to themselves. And it's very toxic and dysfunctional because, you know, we want to hold on to everything so it doesn't fall apart. And especially if you come from situations where everything fell apart, you know how it's like, fuck, it's fucking scary. Like, there's all sorts of situations that kids grow up in. I've heard people talking about just like, you know, their power being off, they're not being food, all these different things. There's so much, like, seriously, there's a lot of sad shit. Like, especially right now, like, humanity is at its lowest. I swear to God, the lowest with integrity, the lowest with soul compassion, the highest with judgment and hatefulness, division, hierarchy, is I'm better than you. It's a fucking ego-driven, dark place right now. It's really disgusting. But that is, hold on. That is what I was saying, is that for those of us who are awake, this is the show playing out. This is so we can see, these are the stories that we move forward with, that we see like the impact of, it's like surrendering your thought process, even though ours wasn't like we necessarily surrendered it. It was more like taken from us in a manipulative manner. And they've been doing this reset thing, so they got it under, you know, like these CIA files that are coming out right now. The one, I haven't read them. I saw this guy and he just like was freaking out, like, oh my God, go put this in Google right now. And so I go and put it in. And then he did another one. Oh my God, go put this in Google right now. And so I did that one too. I printed them out and I sent them to Amy, because I bet she might want to read them right now. I feel like I'm just so fucking busy. Like I'm telling you time. I just feel like I can't even fucking sit there for 2 seconds and concentrate. And, but one of them was, let me think if I could, the second one was in caps. You got to do it in capital letter. Well, if I put it in small at first, and then I was looking and I was like, I don't see anything. You put it in capitals, and it was the third one down for me. And it's CIA, and I think it's from the 70s too, some file. And it's the Adam and Eve story. So I don't know. I haven't read it yet. But then the other one was some other thing, some other huge bullshit lie thing. I think it was a religious thing too. I'll have to look. If somebody wants it, I'll share them in the comments. Oh yeah, I'll do that anyways. I'll find them and I'll share them in the comments, the 2 different file things. And then you guys can look at them, and if you want to read them and see. But yeah, I think there's information that I think it's going to just show. There's so much of this stuff was made up. It was made up to control us. And it was like they practiced on other things. And I think during these resets, I swear to God, it's like, because think about it. Like I'm pretty sure they hadn't done the TV. They hadn't connected all the people so much. So think about, like, they could have been resetting Chicago at one time, and then resetting San Francisco at a different time. And then if there was anybody who was leaving Chicago, like back then they weren't flying. They were going on horseback, a lot of a wagon train kind of situation, which, I don't know, a wagon train, I was really, I don't know, I was really thinking about that the other day. I saw this old movie, and it was this old, the old Russian scary movie. And they were in something like a wagon train, only it was all this thatched, it was made different. It was really cool. It was very gypsy looking. But, I don't know. It just made me think like, I wonder if they made up the fucking wagon train shit. Because why don't we find broken down wagon trains, you know? If everybody's like using wagon trains, you'd think that we'd find some sometimes. Or at least parts. I don't know. There's just something weird about it. And this was a village, and I don't know what year it was supposed to be in that movie. Because even how they were dressed and stuff, but they were still traveling by this wagon train, horse and carriage thing. They weren't in cars or anything. So anyways, if you think about, like, they had no communication. They were very much could control the communication in the newspapers. And it was very much that area's information. And you didn't know what was going on in this area. And you just hear. And they could manipulate that. Like they could, we want everybody to be told there, this is what's going on. Then if they leave on wagon trains, there was like wagon train robberies constantly. Was that called? No, stagecoach robberies. Yeah, the stagecoach. That's what I was seeing. But they also did have these like bands of the other things where they would say a lot of people would go, but then they would always be saying that the people would get there part way and then they would all be a big massacre because the Indians were so violent. To see how then they create this fear and this anticipation and trigger, like, oh, they're out to get me. See how they can do that. And yeah, they could have a band of slave Indians that are like they're what they use now, like the instigators. So it could be, ooh, that's kind of creepy. Like, where we want to be like, all these fucking horrible criminal monsters, like from Venezuela or whatever. Then, and Donald has made reference so many times to make sure that we understand that they are releasing prisoners from these prisons. But what is like when you start understanding that the government is in charge of us and stuff, and then them, it's kind of like the prisoners that they can control or something. But then like the whole thing about China couldn't make the soldiers go into battle, so they put an implant. And this was in their helmets, but then their helmets, if you took their helmets off without undoing the thing, it detonates. So, and they can detonate it if you try and go AWOL. So they're like trapped in this situation. Like they are forced into, you will do or die. And I was thinking, man, when they get all those people in there, because they look at them like lab rats. And some of these places that we think of as being third world is because they are, they're fucking probably got the labs just right out there, like, it's a fucking, it's a place that's very controlled. And so, I mean, you just think about all the babies and stuff they steal from there too. And I'm sure they have baby making factories there, all sorts of shit. But if they have figured technology to put it into these people's brains, and the reason I would say that is because I've already seen that in a movie. It's already been in the movies. In that one movie I saw, they put them in people's chest, and then when the people tried to leave their area, they would blow it. And so they would start keeping people contained in their area, which, that's what they want to do, is divide us and contain us, because look at the control they had before. Like I can see, like there's like, fuck. So they could test different things for a long time, like give them a lot of technology and then take it away. And because there's all sorts of things now where people are saying like, fuck, they were using cell phones in the 40s. And then we get them, what was that when we got them, in the 80s or the 90s? And they started making like, oh, look at this new invention. And then people are finding all these pictures, these old pictures. And then plus I've seen in old movies when they're they're using their car phones and stuff like that. Like I don't know, it's like they couldn't hide everything or something. But anyways, it seems that they've just done a lot of practicing over how to destroy us. And so they use all their techniques, but I swear to God, there's like a repeat. Like they can't come up with new stuff. And then plus there is something, they know that this is about to be a natural reset. There's way too many scientists, like that one NASA scientist. But see, the thing is when they're cut off from spirituality, they don't understand some things. So then they get scared and overwhelmed by things. That's a big problem with scientists. Like if you got some spiritual scientists, then you get a whole nother level. But having these atheist scientists, then you've got like, these people are trying to, like, you got half the books and you're trying to fucking explain it to me? Oh, good. No, I'm good. It's like these people, I don't know. And it's from their own belief system. See, and this is why all of our belief systems are being, challenged. So our belief systems are being challenged so that we have to think things through. This whole thing is about this awakening, about getting your mind stoked up, getting your mind fired up so it starts working for itself, so it starts thinking for itself, so it starts becoming itself. and pulling free from all of this programming, because it has been so much programming. Oh yeah, because what was that I was going to say then about, oh yeah, because the thing about the I know you better than you know yourself, that was told to me so many times, and I can't get it out of my head lately. And so I know that there's something about it. And that's something you, when you have something that keeps going and going and going and going. Fucking hell, yesterday I got up and it's still, I can fucking hear it. And I don't understand sometimes, like, if they don't do this shit on purpose, I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like you hear something and they're doing something. I don't know how to explain it. But anyways, I had seen this fucking video a few times where people keep using like all this stuff about Jay-Z and using the New York and that song he did with whoever, but it's this way of, it's kind of Frank Sinatra, New York. And it just gets on repeat. It is constant, constant, constant. It's like, fuck, man, it's enough of that. So, anyways, that is driving me crazy. But let me think, what was the thing I was going to say? Because I know you better than you know yourself thing. So, when somebody says, like, I know you better than you know yourself, if you don't feel like I try and understand my own self, this is what it's all about. It's like I'm healing my own shit. And, oh yeah, when something keeps going in your, like, that's a song. Like, that I feel like is something that they're putting out over the airwaves or something. And, but you have to be at the vibration for it to be able to hear it. Like, and they have different ones. It's not like, oh, you have to be a high vibration to hear it. I mean, you've got whole towns that are hearing somebody read a story. So like I don't know. They put something, and then like I hear the buzzing all the time ever since I was a kid. There's buzzing, and it's enough to drive you fucking insane. And then they hit with these high frequencies, and I'm hit with them all the time. And I've been with a group of people, though, when it's happened, and nobody else hears it. So, and then every once in a while I'll be with somebody and they'll be like, oh, they hear it too. So it's just whatever. So they can put this stuff in, like, to the people who can't make out the sound, the words or something. I think it sounds like a scramble. It sounds like anxiety. It sounds like, ugh. Because there's so much, I'm telling you, there's so much noise around us. And I just think people don't realize, it's like, you're not anxious. You're just unaware of all the fucking noise around you. And you're picking up on all this noise. Your body's picking up on it. And it's making you feel like, oh. And so but everybody starts feeling like, I feel like that when I go out and I got to go talk to people. I got to be around people. And it's like, it's because you are around people. It's because you're picking up all of the energy and you don't have the awareness of it. So you think it's you. And people got to start understanding themselves better and understanding the energy and stuff. And it's not this, like, it's not the shell. It's what's inside the shell. And when you have a whole bunch of people who are just being birthed, it's like all these eggs. It's like I see all these eggs. I see it like dinosaur eggs or something, like dragon eggs or something. Like they're big, and all these people inside of them, only they look like little creatures. They don't look like people standing there. They look like creatures in there. And they are, everybody's in their egg about to be birthed out. Everybody's about to break out of their shell. Everybody's about to break free. And it's going to, like I've said, when you go free, like on micromag, like when I've pushed and I've come out of my body before, and it feels very uncomfortable. There's going to be a lot of this coming out of their shell is going to be very uncomfortable. And it's in a different kind of sense, but in the same sense. Because your emotions and stuff are very entangled with how you look at things, how you feel about things. And so there's going to be a lot of movement in this feeling of anxious or uncomfortable or something. But that is where you got to move through it. You got to move through discomfort, because the reason it's uncomfortable is because it's new. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it's new. And we're breaking into something new. We're breaking through to the other side. So you're breaking out of what was and into something else. So you're coming out of the old you, the shell that used to hold you back. And you're busting free. And so anyways, but that's what we have, is like all these people that are percolating in these shells and becoming uncomfortable, and there's like all this energy of like it's all shaking, just like how micro macro, how the ground is shaking. I feel the ground vibrating so much, but nothing's rattling around, so it's like this deep vibration coming up from the ground. And but when I was seeing okay, let me see if I, because on the thing about the I know you better than you know yourself. One of the things is, so back then when I was being told this, so I was in that marriage. It went from the time I was like 28 years old, 29 years old. I think it was 29 years old. And I think I was about to turn 30. And then we were married, and you see, I left him in nursing school. I left him a bunch of times. I even divorced him and remarried him at some point. I always was very believe when somebody says something, you know, like, oh, they're going to try. But the thing is like, you can't look at it as they're failing you. They just can't do what it is you want them to do. And you know, they'll get mad at you because they keep trying and keep trying to please you, and they can't reach that status of pleasing you, and they are frustrated and blame you. And so but I think I left, it seems like, because it seemed like I was 42, because I'm trying to think, because I said I'm going to leave you when I graduate from nursing school, but I left the year before. I started working in the hospital the second year of my schooling. And so I left, and then I was had my own place. But then we ended up getting back together, and he bought that house and gave me that house. Then we were together for a couple more years. And then there was just way too many things where I was like, he can't get a hold of his anger. He can't get a hold, like, it's not going to change. Nothing's going to change. It took fucking like 15 years, so many times of leaving, moving out, divorce. Like, it was definitely, there was such an entanglement with us that and it had been going since I was 21. Like, I met him when I was, I think I'd only been in California for a couple weeks, but I was already married. I already had the baby, and when I met him, and it was my husband's obsession from school, and I didn't know any of this stuff. And he was obsessed with him from high school, and he went over to show him his new baby. He was all excited, and they weren't friends, but they had other friends in common. They didn't hang out together, but he still really looked up to him or something. So then when this other guy found out that he was married, he was like, who the hell would marry him? So he came over to see what kind of like fucking gnome, weird fucking monster I was. And it was, he said the second he saw me, he was done. He was like obsessed. And he hung out with us then all the time. Then he was with us all the time. And I had no idea. I thought that they were friends, you know, and I had become friends with him. And I'm like I've said, everybody always thinks I'm flirting with them. I can engage, I can be snappy, like, and so, and then when somebody likes me, that is my trigger. You know, that's what fell apart with Dickie, is like, he wouldn't tell me. And then when he's shown me, like, there was an effect too for him to not be able to speak to me, you know, because he could have easily, he was the more grown up. He could have easily been like, you know, I really like you, and I hope you like me. You know, I'm curious. My hair's falling apart now. Is you know, he could have been more upright, you know, and he's shown me that, and he has recognized that. But the, um, okay, because I had to merge of a couple things. Okay, so let me see. So, he could have said, like, you know, I like you, you know, like he had sent the note to the girl. Well, he didn't say he liked her in the note. He said, did you like me? He had his own issues, you know, he needed somebody to be giving back to him. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Cause this came to me the other day is, because my one friend that I hung out with, she didn't go with me to see the kids. We would call them the kids. She didn't go with me to see them. That's the girl I went to all the punk rock clubs with. And we'd go on other trips. Like we'd go to Louisiana for a concert. We'd go to St. Louis for a concert. Like we would go, to go see, like we went and saw the Pretenders. We went and saw different bands and stuff. And not everybody came to Dallas. And, but she would become friends with some of these people, I think. But at the one club, there was a guy that's why we were always going to there every time that her fella was playing. And so I would go with her to see this guy. They were in the Telephones, and she really liked this guy in the band. And so we were friends with all these people. So I was friends with all these people over here. I wasn't sleeping with any of them. We would all just talk and hang out and stuff. But I can see how to Dickie, it would look like, you know, I'm just taking off and going. So I'm probably just sleeping around, because I was like, how I was with him was different than how I was with anybody else. I was obsessed with him. But see, he can see that. So anyways, I can see, you know, I can see a lot of the stuff now. Like that's why I can say, like, insecurities are something you really want to work through. But what was the other part? So, because I keep having the thing about the know yourself. No, I know you better than you know yourself. But there seems like there was something else I didn't finish about the that situation. But anyways, I can totally see how I came across back then. Now I couldn't see before. I didn't see that before until this whole situation happened, you know, where I found out he died. And well, I mean, he came before he found out he died. And I was thinking, you know, he died when I got the brain injury. So I was thinking, man, I'm for years, yeah, I keep trying to think, when did I look up about his stuff? But his stuff hadn't been out there very long. And then the guy who put it all out, then he died. So anyways, it's just weird. Timing is like, it goes the way it's supposed to go. Like, so anyways, I did see about the insecurities and stuff, and the, when it's way better to just be forthright and say, hey, you know, yeah, I like you. You know, if, I don't know, because that still puts it off on the guy. I could have also been, I'm just, you know, and I want to make my excuse, well, I was young and stuff like that. But, you know, he's probably had more breakups, more, you know, I don't know. You know, however, it went the way it was supposed to go. There was no other way it could go. It only can go the way it goes. And so on the thing about I know you better than you know yourself. Okay, so now as we have progressed through this awakening, and we've realized that everything that we see is a projection of how we feel about it. So however we feel about things, which is all based on our own history, our own soul's history. So however we feel about things is how we perceive them, is how we see things. And so we all have our own unique vision of every situation, because it is all based on our perspective. And when somebody else has a perspective, then theirs is based on how they feel about something. Like there's some sort of a reference. So they feel a certain way about something, and then they feel, okay. So they feel a certain way about something. Then it's like they project their feelings onto you. So they think that that's how you feel, but that's not how you feel. It's how they feel. But they don't realize that they're projecting their own feelings about this on you, and then they're thinking that you are giving these feelings. It's like, no, that's not how it works. It's the feelings are inside of you, and then that you go through life meeting different people, having different interactions, so that these feelings are coming out, so that you can look at them and work on them, heal them. It's like these patterns is part of your show. It's a part of your play. It's a part of your life journey. And so so in the part where the person is telling you that they know you better than you know yourself, if you are in some kind of relationship where anyone's telling you that, you got to see, like, don't buy into that. You got to know you may not know yourself very well. You may be very confused, and you've got all these different people telling you who you are. You're this way. And this is a fucking thunderstorm in people's minds. Their mom's telling them they're this way. Their dad's telling them they're this way. Grandpa says this. Your uncle says that. Your coworker says this. Your sister says this. And, pretty soon you're all these things because you're this to them. You're this to them. You're this to them. But that is where you got to pull all this in and be like, you know what? I'm really not any of these things that you guys see. This is what you guys see. This is the pattern you're playing out. This is something that you have got, that you're working on. And I'm just the reflection. I'm just giving you a fucking reflection so that you can see that. But instead, we take it on. Like, that we've got to change. We got to be different. We are unsatisfactory, or we are, what is that word? It's we're failing them, or failing them. We're not good enough. We're not good enough. And so we feel like we need to change. We need to be different. We need to try harder. And in a relationship, it's very toxic, because then you're the one who keeps thinking like you're doing something wrong, and this person is just like a carte blanche. I can do whatever I want, and it's your fault. And it's like, and they don't realize they're doing this. This is the thing. And that's why they get, these certain labels like a narcissist, and they don't care and stuff like that. It's like, it's not that they don't care. They're consumed, I think, like, but they're caring. Like, to a point, some people can be an obsession, and that triggers them to be in fear of rejection, fear of things not being in control, fear of loss, all these different things. And so then they will manipulate and try and control you so that they don't feel those feelings. But it's so intertwined into who they are that they have no awareness. That is this awakening. This is this opportunity to find your details, to figure out how you work and why you do this and why you do that, because it's toxic and you can fix it. You don't have to stay that way. It's just it's a product of our toxic relationships. This is our toxic environment, and so much of it was programmed into the societal norms that is this. You got to break free. You just can't just be down on yourself all the time. Like I've said, that's very, to constantly just be, oh, poor more me is very self-indulgent. It's very selfish. It's so ego driven, even though you would think like, well, that couldn't be ego. Very ego driven. Poor more me. It's all about me. It's just me. God damn it. So you got to pull yourself free from that and question yourself like, God, what am I trying to do here? You're trying to get sympathy. You're trying to get empathy. You're trying to get people's attention. You're trying to get somebody to make you feel better. It's toxic. You got to figure out how to do those things for yourself. You got to figure out, how do I feel better? What do I do? How do I fix this? And so many people are being challenged by that. Like, our whole planet is being challenged by that. And people are falling apart. It's hard. People are fucking falling to their knees. This is that come to Jesus moment. And I feel kind of like AA kind of had a handle on it. Even though that was, that they made it, well, because they did kind of make it more spiritual. Like, there's a higher power. It's like when you realize that things are out of your control. There's a bigger power out there in control. And when you can surrender to that power and to understand, that you don't have control. And so that is this part where a lot of people, because those people go through that ceremony of realization, that they're powerless against this, alcohol. And a lot of people find themselves powerless against all sorts of things, deviant sex, all sorts of food, definitely drugs. So they find themselves powerless against these things. And it's these wounds and stuff. And it is spiritual wounds. And so, yeah, there is a good thing of like, you got to surrender, but you also have to face your wounds. And what are you going to do with them? You got to, and there's so many, like it's been such a big part of our world is to not, because like, look at, you become a healthy person when you do. And that's not what they want. So they want you to be mentally, emotionally, physically struggling. And so there's a big change when you start really taking care of yourself and caring about yourself. And it can start with emotions. It can be, setting better boundaries for yourself, putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, saying your truth, and all those things that are scary and hard to do. But there's such a repercussion of growth when you do the things that are hard like that. And then you feel so much better. It gives you this new confidence. Like, fuck, I feel like now I could, it just is funny because it reminds me like of back, I think it was the 6th grade, and I was in this class, speech class. It was horrible. It was motherfucking horrible. She was wanting us to go up and talk in front of the fucking class. It's like I was the kid who sat in the very back chair of the class and said little funny things that, where everybody would start laughing and I would get in trouble and go get licks because I couldn't control my impulses, and I just hear things that are funny and I will point things out, and people think it's funny. I don't know, but I would get in trouble. And so going into a classroom, and then they're like, okay, well, everybody's gonna go up to the front, and you're gonna, I don't remember what it was, like you had to write a speech or something and go up and say it. I fucking couldn't talk. Even at my daughter's wedding, the daughter who got married in Costa Rica, it was this big, very traditional, like fancy, like, okay, and the mother of course has to do a toast or whatever. And I was so fucking stressed about that. And I wrote one out, and still when I had to get up there and talk, I couldn't fucking talk. I was just like choking. I couldn't speak. I was like, oh my gosh, I have got such a problem. And these are all people I know. This isn't even strangers. And some of these are kids that I knew like in junior high school and in elementary school. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm getting so, I couldn't fucking speak. I said like one little tiny sentence. My granddaughter got up there. She was like little. She got up there and did a whole speech. I was like, oh, damn, what the hell, Kelly? And so, but now that I've done all this and opened my throat chakra, spoke my truth, now I see so much more about it. I see so much more, at that point, like there's a development that goes on. And so, and that was a part of mine that had to be, because now I feel like, oh yeah, I could get up there and say, I could probably get up there and do a little, you build a confidence. I don't know. I guess I'll be tested and see, like, can you get up there and talk? And could you get up there and say a speech? I think I could. But anyways, it helps you to build yourself up when you do the things that you couldn't do before. Because I think there's a big difference in my oldest videos and now. I just can tell in my own skin, like I feel more comfortable and more relaxed. And before it was a lot more overthinking, and you gotta let go of like all that stuff. Like, so what if I look weird? So what if I make a weird face? So what if I, what does that matter? Like that becomes too much, like thinking about it. No, it's gotta be perfect. I gotta sit here and that's where you start getting these people putting on these, I don't know, these fake spiritual people. It's like they're trying to be this certain person. I say just be yourself. Just be you. Like that's who you're here to be. And that's whose perspective you're here to bring forth. So, I think it's important to be you, not trying to, what would this person be? And then so many people think like a spiritual person, it's a calm and like you're a monk or something. Well, I'm not a monk. I think the important thing about the spiritual is being real, being true, and you're both things. You're all things. You're not just one thing. And okay. So if some people want to go and live in silence and in purity and peace and to connect with themselves, maybe that's what they need to do. I don't feel like I need to do that to connect with myself. Luckily, I can connect with myself in all types of scenarios. And life is about living. Life is about having fun. Be a bonfire at the ocean, dancing with your friends, and be as connected as you could possibly be. You'll find more peace in that ceremony, to me. But we're all here to have different experiences, and I'm definitely here to experience life, and what is it, and what do you do with it, and you're not supposed to be judging it. And I'm not saying go out and do a bunch of weirdo, pervy stuff. That's where you're supposed to cut off and be like, no, I don't need to do that. And then the people who do go and indulge in that stuff, it's lessons for them. It's lessons for them to see, like, oh my God, I did this stuff that makes me feel really dirty. I feel really gross about myself. And you can't get away from that. Doesn't matter if everybody else in the room was doing it. I would think some of these people have got to be at this goddamn fucking orgy with, like, what? Will Smith is going to be in an orgy with his own son? Like, what in the perv? Like, that guy. Yeah, I mean, that guy, oh my God. That is in my playlist. And sometimes it's just like, oh, I may fucking take him out and fill it with Michael Jackson, because I think we've been very distorted with facts. And now the stuff coming out with motherfucking the Supremes, Diane Lane, not Diane Cannon, Diane, the singer from the Supremes, the one who is so fucking famous, who apparently is a motherfucking perv. Like, he was 8 years old when she was like 30 or something. Like, what the fuck? What is wrong with all these fucking people? Like, god damn, do you have no fucking empathy for someone else's life? You really think you can do this stuff to somebody and not have it affect them? Like, what the fuck, man? So, anyways, I think he was somebody who was fighting against child predators. He was trying to speak out, and that's why they turned the tables on him. It's just weird how all the weird shit they do, they try and point it on somebody else. That's how much they know they're doing wrong. They try and use it to take other people down. And so, but yeah, this whole fucking thing with Will wanting to go to those freakouts all the goddamn fucking time. And he's very, because the thing is it's not just gay. It's not just like being in love or something. It's this I hate sex. It's like, okay, because there's like a certain kind of sex that is like, I hate myself. Will you please hate me and make this miserable experience? So it's very not loving. It's the opposite of making love. That's very fetishy. It's very it's like this self-depravement or something, like this. You hate yourself so much you just want somebody to hurt you. Oh, I did see that in a movie. Oh, what movie was that? That was so weird. This girl, I think, and I think was that some sort of fucking incest movie? Was it her brother? It was like this weird fucking movie. And then she was always going out and trying to get people to hurt her and stuff like that. Like they hate themselves over their own desires. So then they want some, it's the whole thing, I think, where they created this submissive and dominant thing, is that these people who hate themselves. So you have so much of that in these, especially this fucking Diddy shit, man. There's nothing loving about it. It's very disgusting. But that once they gave their kid to Sean, that then Will just couldn't wait to get over there and be in one of those parties with him, because and all those things, because the kid had already been speaking out about how uncomfortable his dad made him. He was kissing him on the lips and all of that. And so then Will's like, well, you think that's uncomfortable? Well, let's go. It's like, what the hell is wrong with that guy? And I was thinking, like, man, all the people who were there, if you, God, it turns my stomach, man. If you saw some of this weird depravity that went on, you know, there had to be some that was just like, okay, this is a little too dark for me. And they went home, and then it's got to just haunt them. And it's their own fucking nightmares, their own demons, you know. And there's a lot of people who just, those demons, they keep them at bay by drinking and doing drugs. I think that's why we see so much of that kind of stuff in Hollywood. It's their way of hiding from the truth, the things that they don't want to think about, the things they don't want to see. They just want to close their mind off. But you can't stuff that stuff away. It won't go away. You have to heal it. There's no making it go, you know, just hide it down there. No, you can't do that. That's why everything is coming out like a fucking volcano. People's lives are erupting. People are having to deal with stuff. They're having to look at their past. They're having to think about things in a deeper way. And it's because this is this time for you to take control of yourself, to be the one who is in control of your life. Just like when somebody is sitting there saying, I know you better than yourself, and they're telling you who you are, and it's all a reflection of how they see you, which is not even anything true about who you are. They don't see who you are. That's the whole motherfucking problem. They can't see you through their own progression, their own projection. And that was even a confirmation when I was seeing that one marriage counselor, because we went to counseling so many motherfucking times, and the one marriage counselor who was just like, well, you know, he all he explained it to me is that my husband saw me the way he saw me. He could not see me. He could only see his idea of me. He had created a version of me. And this is what I've tried to explain to people, is if people find you attractive, they come up with your storyline. They come up with who you are. And they can trap you. And you can become a bird in their cage. You can become whatever you allow yourself to become. And you know, in a sense, wherever it is that you find yourself, at some point, yourself is going to want to break free. And so wherever it is that you have allowed yourself to align, there's going to be a part that's going to start pushing you out of that comfort, where you have become this toxic entity. And so, but so he had come up with this concept of me, to the point where he thought that was the real me. The real me didn't exist. The real me didn't even, you know, I was only this thing that he had created in his mind. And so, and I don't know if that's with every single person who tells you that you don't know yourself, but they know you better. But those two things went together. Like, I was told that all the time. And if I even argued with it, he would just laugh at me. No, you just don't even know yourself. It's like, dude, I'm fucking sitting here telling you something. Why can't you hear me? Why can't you understand me? I am like, this is how I feel about something. And it was just a battleground. Like, that whole fucking, all those years. It was such a battle. And it was the going back. And I didn't know how to break that entanglement. And that is why I decided I was going to start seeing somebody else. So it was when I started at nursing school, or I was in nursing school, and like I had said, I had told him years ahead. I said, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to leave you. If things have not changed, I'm moving out. And so once my youngest had started kindergarten, I went back to school, and that was my plan. Things would get better in our relationship, or I'm moving out. I can't live like this. And so then the second year, it was just, there was like some good things. Like, there was definitely some good things. You know, like, he would do things with the kids and stuff all the time, and I could study. But the thing is like, it was more like the kids were his, and I was just this person. So, and I didn't realize that at the time. I've definitely seen it now. And I've been told it. I was told it many times, you know, to the point where I was like, okay, so how did you have these kids? Didn't they come through me? So, but you're saying these aren't my kids. It was like, I don't know how everybody's minds work. But so so anyways, at the time, I didn't see it as being toxic. I saw it as being helpful because I was very focused on what I was doing, what I wanted to do. And I didn't realize the toxicity behind what he was doing. But anyways, but we ended up breaking up as this a certain point. And it was like just one thing after another all the time. But at school, there was just some work being done, and there was an electrician there, and he was so cute. Oh my God, that guy was cute. And one of my guys in my nursing school knew him, and so then, of course, I got to know him. And so I kind of used him to break free from my marriage, and that broke my the person I was leaving. See, I'm like there's toxic things we do, like out of our own dysfunction, you know. And so he became suicidal, and he was gonna burn the house down, and it was a whole fucking thing. And he was falling apart. And so and then he started trying to really, you know, shift gears. He was going to AA and all this stuff. And so you know, I was always receptive. It's like I felt like that was my duty. And so I mean, there was not really a thing with that guy anyways. That guy was very young, and like there was a lot of like little stories though. That's was a girl who, I don't know, was she trying to protect him or whatever, when I was out at this bar, because his friend or roommate was a manager of this bar, so he was always at this place, and it was a place that we all went as nursing students. Anyway, we would all go to these. There was only a few clubs downtown at the time that were really, and we would go as a group of all these nursing students and go out after a test and have fun. And because it was intense. Nursing school was intense. And so he was there, and I was talking to him, and there was these girls sitting over here at this table, and they were of course young, and because he was young, and not super, I think he was like 28 or something like that. He wasn't like a little kid, like that's gross. But I was like 42, so I was 41 or 42, and he was, I'm positive he went 26, but it was 26 or 28, somewhere in there. And so these girls start harassing me and start telling me I'm old and stuff. And then this girl I'm with, who we ended up not being friends, she ended up screwing me over too. She was real tiny. She was this little tiny Mexican girl, but she was, like, wants to fight. So she goes running over there. And I think there was another girl too that we were with. But I know she was like, she goes up to the biggest one, and this girl is, so it's like this little tiny Mexican girl and this big giant Indian girl. And they start fucking fighting. This girl who's over here harassing me, she's a white girl with short blonde hair, and she was a little on the chunky side. And I was very skinny, so of course, you know, what was my target? And then, but it seems like there was a third. They had a third for sure. But it seems like there was a third. So when we get swarmed by, I wasn't fighting. I was just like, oh, you're old, you're fat. Like that, one of those kind of things. And these two girls are over here, and just fucking tearing it up. So the bouncers come and grab them and pull us all apart. And I get grabbed, even though I was just, you know, talking, but it was so chaotic. So we all get grabbed, and I'm getting pulled up to the front. So I'm standing there, and some bouncer has me, and I'm standing at the front door, and they start bringing the other girls that were battling. And the one that was saying all this stuff to me, she's like saying all this stuff as she's coming up, and I'm saying, well, you're fat. I think that's the only thing I could say. Well, you're fat, so shut up. And so she gets up next to me, and she goes, boom, right, smacks me right fucking in the eye, knocks me back. And I think I'm held back like this, but I'm not. Like I'll, if somebody like in the house, like if a guy comes at me, I will go fucking insane. But like this was like not that situation because I would start fighting back, but it wasn't like that. After this, after I got punched, yeah, but then it was like separated real quick. They took her outside real quick, and I wanted the police called. Like I think I was knocked down. I wasn't knocked out, but that stopped everything again. And then I wanted that girl, I wanted the police and stuff, because that's fucking assault, motherfucker. You can't fucking turn around and just hit somebody like that. And they covered it. They covered her. I couldn't believe it. And they got her out to her car. So that's what bars do when you're the regular person. So, and I was trying to find out who she was and everything. I was trying to make charges on her. And but then when we left, and whoever was in my car, I can keep only seeing Tina, the little tiny firecracker lady. That it seems like there was a third person, and they were like, "Oh my God, you need to go to the hospital and stuff." And I don't remember. I probably saw my eye that night, but definitely when I saw it the next day, it was completely closed. Like this eye was like this, injury was like this. My eye was about that big. It was huge. It was and it was completely closed. It was giant, swollen, all colors. And I'd go to nursing school. Like I had the teachers were sure that my husband had beat me, and they wouldn't listen to me no matter what I'd say. They were like, they thought I was just making it up just to cover my abusive relationship, which I was in a very, very toxic relationship that would have been considered very abusive. And so it wasn't a big stretch, but it wasn't what had happened. But at that point, then I had the teachers, trying to give me information about domestic abuse and stuff. But that fucking black eye, it took days before my eye even opened. And then when all of the blood shifted, and it was like, oh my God, that eye was a fucking disaster for weeks. And I had to go, to hospitals, everything. Like, that was, but I guess it was, beneficial that my teachers, thought, oh my gosh, poor victim. Not, she's in a barroom brawl. I tried telling them, but I think that they just kept being like, oh, you don't have to make up stories for us. I was just like, nobody's out there getting punched in a bar. It's like, yes, just for telling her she's fat. And she wasn't like, I mean, but, she was the kind of fatness you're sensitive about, where you're just like, oh, but that's where people like, it's always how you feel about yourself. If she didn't feel fat, she'd been like, fuck off. I look good. I know it, and you can fuck off. And because it doesn't matter, what I think is fat and what somebody else thinks is fat, when somebody thinks is skinny. But that is, this toxic thing. When I very began talking about like the thing about eating, because my thoughts and stuff are so different now. Like, I really don't think that we need to eat like what they tell us. And I don't see why would we want to, just so we can put on weight, because putting on weight just makes us be more unhealthy. And it is kind of like you can be driven by your impulses to eat, but you can get more control of that. And it's like, I don't know. It's like overeating is just the same thing of like, it's out of control. And it's not meant to be that way. You're meant to be on the thinner side. Your natural body is meant to be on the thinner side. But there's so many people who try and turn that into toxic. It's toxic talk. It's toxic. It's body shaming. It's all of this stuff to say like, well, you shouldn't eat so much. You should try and be thinner. Then all of a sudden you're trying to make everybody into anorexic. And it's like, no, because it's not about, there's different ways you can look at it. There's this, like, I'm starving myself. I'm going to beat myself to death in sex. There's an abusive side to all this stuff. You're not doing it out of abuse. You're doing it out of, like, listening to your body, taking care of your body. What do you really need? What do you need? Do you need to eat, or are we just on schedule? Because, start noticing. you know, and that is kind of like Pavlov's dog. Sometimes I think like people have this automatic trigger. Well, I'm hungry. It's breakfast time. Oh, it's lunchtime. I'm hungry. Dinner time. I'm hungry. Oh, well, I gotta have dessert. It's dessert time. It's time for popcorn. You know, it's like there's these just like automatic triggers. Those are the things, the programs you're trying to break free from. Is once you break free from them, then you start going, I don't know, am I hungry? I mean, and then I don't know, there's just a lot changing on the nutrition thing. And then it's always been those brethren people. Like that would be one thing if they all had decided to do that and they all died. But they're fucking alive and they're still doing it. And you got more people doing it. And you got more people who are really into herbal, holistic stuff who have started saying the benefits of fasting and that that's our natural thing that we need to be doing. That's how we're meant to be. We're not meant to eat every day. It's very indulgent to just constantly be eating and eating and eating. And then when we see our bodies and how they're represented when we are that kind of indulgent, that is this part where we got to start seeing, but people have not shifted into that yet. They're very, you know, that's very toxic. We've got to eat. We need this. We need the nutrition. We need all this stuff. But it's like, that's all been stuff that they just told you. Like, I don't know. Everything is this like reevaluation. Everything in life is this reevaluation, is this looking at things in a different way. And not just like, oh, well, she said, so I better go do it. You know, well, I'm going to do it because she told me. No, you got to follow your own impulses, your own desires, your own design. It's your once you can break their programming and get into running your own, then you'll see you are on your own path. You are on your own destination. It was locked into you when you were birthed in. This was set. It's like that was set. There's more stuff I could say, but I haven't been talking. Because I was having that thing about the avatars coming into my mind. And it is like, I don't know. It's like they get people focused on stuff that is so off. And, oh, the avatar thing too. Because I was seeing that as like some games come with these certain avatars, but then in other games you create your avatar. And I can't remember all the stuff with that. See, there's so many conversations all day long. And I don't know, maybe that one will come back to me because I don't know why I'm seeing it right now. That's coming in, but it does have to do that. So maybe I'm going to explain more about that tomorrow or something. But it's creating, it's you, I don't know, because this is you creating your own avatar right now. You're creating your own avatar, but you can't get caught up in the avatar. You know, the avatar isn't you. It's just your game piece. And also your game piece is supposed to be kind of watching the other pieces right now. Watching the game, watching things play out, because that's where our learning comes in. That's what we're learning from, you know, all this stuff playing out. And there is so much horrible shit, man. They're seeing all of that through Florida. The whole coastline's gone. It's washed away. It's gone. All up in North Carolina, which also over in Tennessee. And Vortex, luckily, Debbie said that where she was in Alabama was okay. But I don't know. I just was like, even in Tennessee, so you have all these different places, and dams were going down. Dams are opening and flooding places. Like, this is like a total takedown. Like, I bet you once this is cleared up, that we're going to see how much this matches this doomsday map, whatever just happened. I bet we're going to see a shift in that map. And also remember, though, for the people who are living, that this is good, even though they're losing all their stuff and they're devastated and stuff, but it's moving them out of this coastal region, because the coastal region is not done. Just like they've got 2 more hurricanes coming now. There's going to be big changes in our landscape. And like, I feel like if you are on the coastal region, like, it's time to move inland. And I saw, you know, like, there's people trying to sell their houses for big money. That is one thing too that I was thinking, that's another thing too. When you start getting up in big money, it's like, fuck. That's one thing when you think like, well, you know, I could lose money on my house or something. But when you start thinking in the millions, that would fuck with your head. That would be like, come on. Like, I think if I was trying to sell something, I would just be like, hey, give me, give me 100 ounces of silver or something. Like, give me something that's going to have worth that they can get for cheap right now, but it will have great worth here in a minute. And supposedly Tuesday is supposed to be real significant. Is something with the end of the fiat system, which is very significant. And so if I would be like, yeah, just give me some silver, But the thing is it's almost shady because the place is gonna be gone. It's like they're buying something that has no value. All this coastline is gonna be gone, all these places. So it's kind of like you just got to throw your hands up in the air and just call it a loss. I don't know. You could, do something through the banks because the banks are going down. But there's a bunch of houses that have gone for sale in my neighborhood, and there's no sold signs because where it was going sold, 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 sold. Now it's just kind of sitting there. And I knew that would be coming, and I don't think there's as much action. I kind of feel like over in the place where they're building the houses, I kind of feel like they're trying to hurry and build one or finish one so they can sell it and get money to do another one. I feel like there's something going on, but the developer is like, wants to complete it, but is trying to do some, well, we'll try this if we can't get more money on that. And they get these big giant chunks of money too. But still, when they got to keep going back and getting more money, I knew there would be a point where there would be insignificant funds, and it would start affecting things. And so these people's houses not selling and stuff, but it's almost like you could use what you have as collateral to get something else somewhere else, and then it's all gonna fall. But anyways, like some of the stuff doesn't really matter because we're gonna get everything that we need anyways, because it's our birthright. It's our human right, to have land and to have the things that we need, the resources. So, and there's going to be reparations for the pain and suffering of being in a lab rat, and, all the loss that we have gone through and all of the hardship and heartache. And so there's going to be, like I said, I'm positive that land will be given away, but there's going to be something where there's going to be a lot of stuff with houses. Like, I don't know if they'll be like, they'll give house kits or something, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to, right now it seems like everything is challenging, horrible, but it's going to flip, and it's going to be a lot more like, I don't know, you're going to be going more into receiving. Like, you're going to start seeing like, oh, there's all these things that I can have, and communities are going to start just really building up. There's going to be a lot of good stuff that's going to start coming, even though at the time there's going to be a lot of hard things that are going to be happening for people, because people are going to be really waking up and really challenging themselves, really going through their past, really feeling their pain and stuff, because that's ahead for everybody. If you have I think that most of you guys who have been listening to me for any sense of time have been being more aware of your own behaviors and working on yourself and trying to create better relationships. But that is going to be on the big wave is going to be carrying that for all the other people. And that's why, I know it's an illusion right now where, I'm talking to you guys, but it's going to be a whole lot of more people, because all of these people who are not awakened yet, who aren't healing on themselves, and then when all this stuff goes down, and then they're so confused, and there's going to be such a openness inside of them that they're going to be looking for answers. And so that's when all these different YouTube channels that are being repressed and stuff, because they don't. But one thing is, my guys have told me it's all about timing. And so it doesn't, it's like you guys have found me, the people who needed this information have found me, but there's going to be so much more people, and that is when it's going to be the floodgates open, and there's going to be all these people looking for this information, and then there's going to be a whole bunch of accounts like that you'll see that they've been holding back and repressing, like mine. I feel like that there's going to be a bunch of accounts that there's going to be all sorts of different things, but there's definitely going to be accounts that are more focused on healing and real spirituality and really connecting with yourself and being healthy, mind, body, spirit, ways to be more healthy, like all those kind of things, holistic things, naturopathic. There can be a lot of different directions that's going to help people. So that is, but it's kind of like when the timing's right, it's going to be right there. And we're right at this time. And it was always shown to me there's going to be this like flipping, like this thing, and it's all going to go together. And so I don't know. I don't know. It's just, like every day to me, it's just like, well, anything can happen today. And I got this weird sore on my mouth. I have no idea what it is or where it came from. I saw somebody talking about, I think, their baby having herpes on their lips and being like, don't let strangers kiss your babies, obviously. And, or strangers or people who aren't, I don't know if they're talking about cousins or who they were talking about. They're just letting strangers in a store kiss their baby. But if your baby was going to get herpes, you would see the herpes on the person. Like my daughter has had cold sores ever since she was a kid. And she, and hers started when she got tonsillitis. It created this herpes. It was all down in her throat. Her throat was like, it was really a crazy time because I was having to wait for the insurance to authorize it. And she had a tiny hole to breathe through. Her throat was closed up with herpes. She had herpes all over her face. And so she's always gotten cold sores ever since then. And that is one of the things that I have learned through this stuff too, is that the herpes virus is some kind of a virus that they trigger. Like we all are carriers of these things, and then they trigger them inside of you. That's why we have so many people who have this stuff. It's not because somebody came up with a big old gross cold sore, because my daughter's had huge cold sores, and her kids have never gotten them. And you have to touch it. Like the kid would have to come up and give her a big old kiss right on her cold sore. And so anyways, I don't think any mom, like if you saw somebody coming up to kiss your kid and they had a big cold sore, I don't think you'd be like the breakout has to be there. They can't get it without it being there. It's like people just don't realize that they are triggering sickness inside of us. I've even heard that the AIDS virus, that is one that they are triggering inside of us. So things aren't what they seem to be. And so, yeah, we got little babies getting this stuff. And like I've said, it's like something that they're spraying on us or something. And I don't even know what the fuck this sore is. It's not a cold sore. It's some weird sore, though. And I don't know. And I put castor oil and stuff on it. I even put some baking soda. So, and baking soda and castor oil, if you have any kind of these growths, they're not moles, but it's kind of like this skin that starts growing. That's why this sloughing your skin is important, because it starts growing these, like a bunch of skin on top of skin on top of skin, and it starts becoming like it looks like a mole or something. But that is where they start saying that's like precancerous. That's because of the way the cells are growing or something, because there's a whole thing about, cells grow out of place where they're not supposed to be growing. They grow in these weird ways. And so if you have any of those things, baking soda and castor oil, and mix it together and then put it on there. And I've been doing that on this one on my leg, and now it's like this little black thing, like it's about to dry and go off. And it seemed like a mole, and it seemed like right on my leg, right where it would be like your jeans were rubbing on your side of your leg. And so I thought, oh, this must be like some kind of thing from that or something. I don't know. And then, but it's not a mole. And so I started putting that stuff in. Now it is going away. So, and that is one of the things, like where when I was going and getting all these pre-cancer things burned off and stuff like that, I can't remember what they call it, but it's just like your skin just like hyper grows on itself and stuff. And then people think like they're getting moles. It's not really a mole. It's this cell thing, and that's why it turns into cancer. Like, we'll burn it off and stuff. You don't need to go get it burned off and cut off and stuff. Just get some baking soda and some castor oil, and just be consistent on the things you do. Be consistent on all the things you do. Don't do it for a week and then give up. Don't eat right for a week and then go, fuck it, this is too hard. But that is going to be a challenge for a lot of people. A healthy lifestyle is going from a very unhealthy lifestyle to a healthy lifestyle is going to be a big jump for a lot of people. It's going to be very hard. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be hard for people coming up here real quick. So, as I could go more and more conversations, but we're going to stop for the day. But I will see you tomorrow. And just remember, what you're doing here is learning how to love yourself, to love everyone, and how to have a loving day, because it is totally up to you. And so, I'll talk to you later. Bye.